What's up guys, welcome back to SempreInter TV, and today I've got a bit of a special episode for you. I'm not going to be reviewing any match today or previewing anything. I'm going to be doing a little bit of a deep dive into who I believe is going to be our biggest signing of the season. That is our new CEO, Beppe Marotta. That's right, not Politano, not Keita Balde, not Nainggolan, not De Vrij, but an old Italian man called Giuseppe. Why do I think he's such an important signing? Well, it's quite simple really. He's been the most successful CEO/sporting director of Italian football for the last 10 years and is definitely one of the big influences behind Juventus' resurgence of the last 10 years and why they are the top team in Italy now and unfortunately one of the top clubs in Europe, although that Champions League still eludes them. 4-1, Asensio, è finita. So let's take it right back to the beginning for Beppe Marotta. He started off 21 years old at Varese in the Italian 3rd Division as a sporting director for the youth team, and then 1 year later he was promoted to being general manager of the team. So you can see even at a young age he was entrusted with a lot of responsibility and was showing a lot of leadership skills already at that young age, and a lot of people at Varese claimed he was a as they call him in Italy, a predestinato, or destined for greatness, and as his career proves, he has been exactly that. Around that age there's a famous picture of him that goes around of him taking the sporting director course in Italy alongside famous characters or infamous characters such as Luciano Moggi. After Varese he moved on to Monza, again still in the Italian 3rd Division. Then he made a bit of a change. He worked as a director instead of a general manager at Como, and then moved to Ravenna for a short stint. But in 1995 is when he made a big jump to Venezia in Serie B under the tutelage of the infamous Maurizio Zamparini. And the Beppe Marotta worked for Zamparini for 5 years, which really shows the strength of his character and his diplomacy skills, because it's really not easy working for someone like Zamparini. You can ask the 50-something managers he's hired over his career. His time at Venezia really shot him to fame. The team was promoted to Serie A in 1998, and he was also responsible for big signings such as Christian Vieri and Alvaro Recoba. His work at Venezia then finally got some recognition from the Serie A, and his first Serie A team was Atalanta in 2000, where the team under him achieved 7th and a 9th place finish, which was great for a team like Atalanta. And of course that gained even more exposure from him, and some of the bigger clubs started looking for Beppe Marotta, which landed him a move to Sampdoria, a very historic team in Italy, in 2002. Unfortunately the team didn't start off very well. They actually achieved the lowest place finished in their history since 1946 in Serie B, which was a big disappointment, probably one of the biggest blips in his career. But then he did what he would do later on in his career many times, which was making ruthless decisions and revamping the squad completely. The revamp of the squad was of course very successful, as the team got promoted back to Serie A, and actually a few seasons later finished in 8th position, which was a great achievement with a very small budget. After the 8th place finish, he made one of the key moves of his career, which was hiring Fabio Paratici as his right-hand man, as the chief scout at Sampdoria. Paratici would later go on to work with him at Juventus as well, and he has now overtaken the job of chief executive from Marotta at Juventus. But Paratici has been, behind the scenes with Marotta for a long time. Marotta, looks after the sporting side of things, commercial side of things, financial side of things, and Paratici sort of looks after the player side of things. A lot of the signings that Marotta is famous for can be attributed to Paratici, and as always is the case, the man making decisions, of course, is the one that takes the credit. But just as with managers, there's the backroom staff is just as important as the manager himself, who in the end takes the decisions, and that's what Marotta did. The formidable duo of Paratici and Marotta led Sampdoria to a historic finish in the Champions League qualifier spots, and of course famously with the Pazzini-Cassano duo up front, played some great football, and those two really made their careers off that season at Sampdoria. In 2010, of course, after such great work, one of the true big boys came calling for for Marotta and Paratici, and that was Juventus. Juventus, of course, they were just coming back off some very disappointing season, and of course just recently promoted back from the Serie B. And they were looking to reclaim some of their former glory, and they looked to Marotta to be the spearhead of that. His first season, once again, as it was with Sampdoria, wasn't the greatest. Juventus finished 7th in the league, which was very disappointing. And then he tried, alongside Paratici, tried to make wholesale changes to the squad, revamp the squad, and it didn't quite work out. He made a lot of big signings that didn't quite work out, like Milos Krasic, the new Nedved, Martinez, Alberto Aquilani. It just didn't work out, and it looked like the pressure was on Marotta. At this point, the pressure was really on Marotta and Paratici to come through with some real results. And then the following season is when the man really started to work his magic finally. And the big decision that he made was to bring in an inexperienced and unproven coach from Serie B, such as Antonio Conte, who also had some dubious links with some match-fixing scandals. Marotta also decided to make some big changes again to the squad, but this time they proved to be more successful than last time. And the signings were the likes of Stefan Lichtsteiner, Arturo Vidal, Andrea Pirlo, Mirko Vucinic, Giaccherini, Estegarribia, and of course Juventus that season won the Scudetto finally once again, with a very dominating team, with a very aggressive style of play thanks to Antonio Conte. But the quality of signings brought in by Marotta and Paratici was really the difference maker. And since then he's basically been on a mission to make Juve one of the elite teams in Europe. In 2012, of course, the famous signing of Pogba from Manchester United, which turned out better than anyone ever imagined, really. Pogba turns into one of the best midfielders in the world, and in turn turns the Juventus midfield in one of the best midfields in the world, of course, with Pirlo, Vidal, Marchisio and Pogba. They go on to Champions League semi-finals and finals and continue winning back-to-back Scudettos, and still to this day the Juventus team is untouchable in Italy. And the man, of course, is known to be the king of free transfers, and quite rightly so. I mean, let's just list off some of the free or almost free signings he's made over his career at Juventus, starting off with, of course, one of the most famous ones, Andrea Pirlo, who left AC Milan, a very successful time at AC Milan, and was convinced by Marotta and Conte to join the Juventus project, and became the linchpin of the midfield for the next few years. And of course, as I mentioned before, Paul Pogba, they paid a small nominal fee to Man United, and slowly molded him into the team, and became one of the biggest profits ever made by a football club. Over 90 million of profit, can't complain there. Another one was Fernando Llorente from Athletic Bilbao, of course not a world-class player or a Scudetto winning type of player, but again a great signing. Kingsley Coman from PSG went on to be sold to Bayern Munich, again for massive profits, over 20 million of profit there. And one of the players that is actually still there now, from Real Madrid, Sami Khedira. Now, of course, not very popular with the Juventus fans, but over the last few years he has been a very influential character. Of course, Champions League winning, World Cup winning player. Then Dani Alves came from Barcelona, only stayed for one season, but was very influential in their Champions League campaign, which resulted them playing the final against Real Madrid and losing. And most recently from Liverpool, German midfielder Emre Can, who hasn't yet made a great impact on the team, but again a great signing. And it seems like he's working his free transfer magic once again at Inter now. The reports are indicating that Diego Godin from Atletico Madrid is going to sign for Inter in the summer, as his contract is running out at Atleti. Once again, amazing signing. Yes, he's 33 years old, but he is definitely one of the top 5, for me, one of the top 5 centre-backs, if not in the top 3. For Uruguay, he's been the linchpin, captain for Atletico, of course, as we know. an overachieving Atletico. He's been the leader of that team, of a team that concedes goals, is a cheapskate when it comes to conceding goals, and he is the main influence behind that. One of Giuseppe Marotta's last moves before moving to Inter from Juventus was he was basically the mastermind behind the Cristiano Ronaldo move to Juventus. Of course, Agnelli had a lot of say in that, the Juventus owner, but Marotta orchestrated the whole deal, and of course the deal has been monstrous for Juventus in terms of branding wise, exposure, popularity. There's not been something like this for many years in the Serie A, and has shook the whole football world really, and no one expected it, and they managed to pull it off thanks to the likes of Marotta pulling the strings behind the deal. And he also managed to orchestrate the Bonucci-Higuain swap deal between AC Milan and Juventus, which now clearly has worked in favor of Juventus. Another reason why I'm so excited to have Beppe Marotta as our CEO, he is known to make ruthless decisions. Not all the decisions that he makes are not based on sentiment. They're all based around the benefit of the club or the team, and if the decision doesn't benefit either of those, he doesn't make it. One of the best examples of that is his decision not to renew Alessandro Del Piero's contract at Juventus. Del Piero, of course, is a club legend at Juventus, loved by all the fans, one of the all-time top scorers, but the club decided against renewing his contract. A similar decision was taken with Claudio Marchisio, who wasn't even given a farewell when he left for Zenit St. Petersburg recently. Only recently he had to come back to the Juventus Stadium actually and do his farewell properly. But those types of decisions, there's no sentiment behind them. Some fans might not be a fan of that. You know, football is still very sentimental, a very sentimental sport. But clearly Marotta doesn't take any of that into account when making his decisions, and I'm quite a big fan of that. And he has been ruthless as soon as he's come into Inter as well. Recently Nainggolan has been fined by the club and also been excluded from the squad against Napoli due to him arriving to training a few times late. And yeah, he just laid down the law, and it shows to the rest of the team that, you know, whoever you are, you know, Nainggolan was our star signing this summer, but it doesn't matter. If you're not sticking to the rules, whether you're Nainggolan, Icardi or a youth player, you're going to get punished. And I'm a big fan of that, because that is big club mentality. The club comes first, not the player. The appointment of Allegri was also controversial at the time after Antonio Conte left. A lot of the fans were very much against Allegri's appointment, as he was the AC Milan manager before, and they didn't believe he was the right man to take the club forward. The team bus was also egged at the beginning of the season after he was signed, but of course over time his decision proved to be masterclass. So overall, I'm very happy with our signing. As you can tell, I'm looking forward to see how he can take Inter forward as a brand, commercially speaking and sporting wise, and hoping to see some similar results to what he has done at Juventus, Sampdoria, Atalanta with Inter. So that's it for today's special episode, guys. Hope you enjoyed this Beppe Marotta special. As always, please like and subscribe, helps us a lot. And yeah, stay tuned. 2019 SempreInter TV, a lot of good things coming soon. And as always, guys, Forza Inter!